Hello, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you, it might not. All right, so I'm picking up on a situation that has some kind of Nine of Wands energy to it. And I think that is some kind of defensiveness. And I think for most of you, it's a self-defensiveness or some kind of self-preserving stance. For some of you, somebody here might be protecting somebody else, but I'm just getting this strong self-preservation energy, and that might be coming from you. It might be coming from this other person. It could be coming from both of you, but for very different reasons. Regardless of where it's coming from, this defensiveness is adding layers of confusion to this connection, and it's definitely scrambling the communication. And I think all of that together has congealed into some type of cycle that amplifies the confusion. So it starts with this defensive energy. Again, it could be in both of you, it could be in one of you, but somebody here is feeling very self-protective where they don't want somebody to see maybe their feelings or the position that they're in or something that they did or something that was done to them or something that they're dealing with, right? So they're in that kind of self-preserving stance, and that person, because that's the energy, they start to act and speak in ways that are very hazy and very confusing, because it's like they're trying to skirt around something or they're trying to obscure something. And so then somebody here is on the receiving end of that, and they're very much picking up that something here is confusing or it's not going somewhere. Whether this is like a relationship or whether this is a conversation, it's like it's not deepening. There's no conversation about specifics. And so, or they're not talking about the thing that they should be talking about. And so it confuses them. So then they get in a defensive stance and respond in kind. So then their actions become kind of amorphous because they weren't given like the green light, or they weren't given, you know how like you've got two legs, and when you walk, like you post with one leg and then you swing with the other, and then you post that leg and then you swing with the other. So you need to kind of like post up in order to swing and move forward. So in a conversation here, I feel like there needs to be some kind of facts that somebody here is willing to own. I feel this way. This happened to me. I did this. And it feels like because of this self-preservation energy, that's not happening. And somebody else is kind of sensing that. And so they don't want to start the conversation because they don't know why that's not happening. And so all of this just snowballs, and it continues to like amplify the confusion until it doesn't anymore, because there's also like a feeling of withdrawal here in this space. So it could be that one or both of you has like withdrawn from this space. And because there's so much confusion here, I do just want to point out that there are more overt and less overt ways of withdrawing. So obviously, like the obvious ways of withdrawing, it's like somebody left the chat, somebody stood up and walked away from the conversation, they left the friend group, right? That's pretty obvious that there's been a withdrawal. But there's other ways of withdrawing that are less obvious, and that could be because there's some kind of social expectation. So it could be that somebody is having a conversation with you because they have to, because there's some type of social expectation. You guys are stuck in a room together. So like they're exchanging words, pleasantries, if you will, and they're being kind of polite, but maybe they whip out like their best HR voice, or they're saying things, but they're not really giving details. They're kind of talking around in circles, and there's not really that invitation of deepening the conversation, getting more personal with it, getting more clear. And somebody here is like kind of, they're being nice, but they're trying to kind of keep it on that level. That is also, I think, a person who's withdrawn from the space because they're just so confused and they're just feeling so like maybe self-defensive here about something. So there's just a lot of confusion. And I think that if you're here at this reading, you have this kind of question in your mind, like why? And it feels like you have a lot of whys, maybe like why did I behave like that? Why were they behaving like that? What did that mean? Why did that situation go the way that it did? And I feel like we're trying to work our way through that here in this message. One of the answers to that question is because of defensiveness, either in you, in this other person, or in both of you. Another thing that I want to point out here is that I feel like there's a group here where like in the moment or like right after, you were able to name this. You were able to say, oh, this is defensiveness on some level, like within yourself. So you could have thought like, oh, I'm being very defensive. Why am I being so defensive? Or you recognized kind of immediately or right after that this other person, oh, they're being defensive. Why are they being defensive? This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying that this is building up some kind of confusion here. Oh, I recognize they're being defensive. Why are they being defensive? Maybe I should be defensive, right? So, but there is this group here where you did know that what you were looking at was defensiveness, and your why is kind of center around that. Why were you so defensive? Why, there's another group here where the behavior that you were exhibiting or the behavior that you saw in another person, it was defensiveness. Now, I don't know if you've worked that out or not. I think it would have taken a little longer for you to realize that it was defensiveness, or maybe we're just confirming that for you now. But it was some other behavior that confused you, where again, it was maybe somebody bumbling all over themselves in conversation. They could have been being really, really nice too, or like very saccharine sweet, but maybe that wasn't like them, or it was not like situationally, it didn't make sense, because it feels to me like there's something here that you're supposed to be talking about, and maybe you suspect that somebody here is like angry, but they're being like really, really nice. Pleasantries is like really kind of what's coming through. So that behavior kind of maybe confused you, or again, like just some kind of something here that confused you, where you were like, well, what are my options here? Like what's behind this? Because it's like you didn't get the meat and potatoes of the emotions. And that's kind of the energy that I'm getting, where at least one of you or both of you, you're trying to wait for the other person to kind of break and like reveal what they actually are feeling or thinking, what's actually going on. But again, the defensiveness is not ever letting that, which then adds to the confusion. But so if that was what you were dealing with, where it was some kind of behavior and you're like, why did they say that? Why were they being that way? I thought that they were mad at me. They weren't exactly mad at me. No, that was defensiveness. And that was what's adding to the layers of confusion here, if that makes sense. So what could this be? Why is this person so defensive? What is it that they're hiding and that they're very defensive about? Well, I mean, it really could be anything here. Some of these people are extremely protective over whatever this is. And I do want to respect that and not go poking around too much. But there's also certain situations that are coming through here in the reading, and I'll throw some of those out and we can kind of sift through them. But what I'm pretty sure about is that there is a third mitigating variable here. And that is a phrase that for whatever reason, my brain latched onto that in statistics class. And what that means is there is some type of third variable that is having some type of an effect or an influence on whatever this outcome is here. And you are not aware of this third variable, maybe that it exists, or you're not aware, maybe you are aware of this variable or person or whatever this is, but you're not aware that that is having the effect on this situation. And for some of you, it's causing somebody here to be defensive and to be confused and etc., right? So you either don't know about the variable at all, or you don't realize that this variable is having some type of impact here on the result. And it's not just these two primary variables that you are aware of and measuring that you think have some type of direct or causal link between each other. So there is this third mitigating variable. And it does feel like you're unaware of that, or you're unaware that it's having some type of effect. And I think that whatever that is, I think it's linked to, like it causes embarrassment or humiliation, like something to do with that. And maybe that's part of why they're so protective of it. So, okay, getting into these specific situations that I'm kind of picking up on, one could be their feelings. Okay, so it could be that somebody here is feeling betrayed. And for whatever reason, they're embarrassed of admitting that. And some people, that might sound counterintuitive, because a lot of times when we get betrayed, we get angry and we want to yell and like defend ourselves. But I just actually said on a live stream not too long ago, and I'm very much like this, where I think I was explaining to you guys that sometimes whenever I show like a raw, strong emotion of any variety. It could be a happy one or it could be a sad one. Because I grew up in such a manipulative household, part of me gets scared and I'm like, oh no, that was actually a lot of information to give to somebody. That was really vulnerable. And I don't really like to be vulnerable. I like to be prepared to be vulnerable. Okay. So if I'm not ready for it, I just start to sort of panic in my mind and I'm like, oh God, what are they going to do with that information? Are they going to hurt me with it? Are they going to try to back me into a corner? Are they going to make fun of me? Like anything. Like, so I try to keep such a lid on like my raw emotions. So for some of you, this person's feeling hurt or they're feeling vulnerable, but to admit that to you is revealing a weakness or like a soft point. And it's like they'd have to roll over and show you their belly and they don't want to, you know? So, and that could have to do with you directly, or it could just be the type of person they are and like where they grew up on, right? So that's for some. It also could be that this person has feelings for you, or somebody here does have feelings for you that maybe they haven't admitted or owned up to. And I think maybe there is like even like a fantasy element to that. And because of that, I think maybe they're seeing everything that you do from a non-neutral place. So they're seeing everything as like falling into their fantasy, but then maybe they did something and then it fuzzed everything up. You know, maybe they moved towards you or they kissed you or something and then you got like weird. And because that was a betrayal to you and because you felt like your boundaries were crossed or something, but this person was like in fantasy land. And they don't want to own up to that in case you don't feel the same way. And they're also very confused about your reaction, right? So it could be something here like that. It could be that this person like did something. So like they cheated or something and they really do love you and they're not sure if you know about it, or they're scared if you find out that's going to be the end. It also could be that somebody did something to this person, you know, and they thought of it as a betrayal or something here. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that this could be. And yeah, and it also could be like, well, wait a second, like, do you like them or do you like me? The other thing that's really sad that I think could be happening here is, because somebody here is like defensive, they're giving out these weird mixed signals. And somebody here is then interpreting that as, oh, you're not interested in me, or you're interested in like a lot of these people. And so because of that, they're defensive and maybe they're keeping their options open or they're exploring their other options because they don't want to get their heart broken. So they're just trying to ignore this, or they just keep telling themselves like, oh, they don't feel the same way that I do, you know? And then somebody here may have actually done something that somebody else then felt like, well, wait, now I don't know if you like me. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? It could kind of like compound here. But yeah, there's something here that somebody's feeling very defensive about. And because of all the confusion and possibly there's water under the bridge here and just y'all don't know how to read each other. And it just feels like what would cut through this is a direct conversation, just putting it all on the line. You know, I just heard like kind of making peace with humiliation a bit, or like embarrassment, like, okay, well, sometimes people get embarrassed in life and I guess it's just my turn, you know, like, so I'm just going to put myself out there and I'm going to ask the direct question or something here, or yeah, I don't know. This does get kind of complicated because, and maybe for some of you, I don't know, these kinds of things can get complicated because what if somebody here is like, yeah, I am actually very hurt. I don't want to have a relationship with you, but I can't just say that directly. I have to kind of find a way to be very HR or be very like PC about this until I can kind of back myself out because of something here that's gone on. I don't know. Like these could get like very complicated, like messy situations to navigate. But yeah, I feel like somebody here feels like stuck in place. They're not sure what it is that they're seeing and they feel like their hands are tied. Maybe like about an ending, like causing an ending here or something. Yeah, because of this routine, because of some type of routine that they're in, or yeah, because it's like they'd have to break routine to get their wish fulfillment. Or for some of these people, that's possibly what they're defensive about, is maybe sending some type of message. Or I'm also hearing like, did you get some type of message? And it feels like maybe there's like some kind of, like there's people who know about something here and people who don't know about it, but it's like, I don't know, something about a message. Like I can't send you a message because I'm working towards something. And if I send you this message, it could potentially like ruin my fortune or like ruin my opportunity or something here. Yeah, but I feel like somebody has a lot of love for you, but they feel like something is a part of their, like, maybe it's a part of an inheritance. It feels like something they've worked towards. And it could be in the realm of cups. Like, I don't know. So they're in and out. And then when they're in and out, they're seeing things here, but they've been in and out. You know, somebody here is like been in and out. And so then when they come back in and then they see something, but it's because they're sending mixed signals. And so somebody here thinks, oh, they've moved on. Like this could be something where it's like somebody dips off the face of the earth for a month. And it's like, I thought you were out of my life. I don't know. Like I thought I was never going to see you again, you know, like kind of a thing. So yeah, I went out with somebody else because I thought, you know, there's wires getting crossed here. Because yeah, I think somebody here has some kind of something that they've put a lot of effort into and they're waiting for it to pay off. Yeah. Or they're waiting for their fortune to change or something. That's another possibility. It really, like I said, it could be anything. And there's already so much confusion in this situation. I don't want to add more to it, but I do feel like defensiveness is basically causing a lot of the problems here. It's causing the confusion and it just feels like wires are getting crossed. And it feels like there needs to be a direct conversation here. And at least for one person or maybe for both of you, it might be a little embarrassing to have this direct conversation or to own up to. Maybe somebody here has to own up to they fell short in the past. And here's why. Maybe somebody else here has to own up to their feelings, like their actual feelings. Like even saying you hurt me is a very intimate act because now you know you've got the power to hurt me. And I'm not really sure if I really like that, you know? It just feels like very vulnerable, you know? So yeah. And it feels like the conversation has to be able to progress in a deeper way. And I think for some, maybe they don't feel safe. It could be that something happened here and now somebody doesn't feel safe. So they don't want to have a conversation because they don't really trust that they're around a safe person. And you have to establish that safety in order to have the real conversation and talk about the real feelings. So again, there's a lot of stuff here. And I think there's like trying to move away from tough times and rocky waters. But in doing that, if we're doing it in this really unconscious way of defensiveness, so talking in this really confusing way where we're not addressing the thing that it needs to be in the way that it needs to be, that seems like it's leaving things behind, but it's really just a functioning dysfunction. And it does feel like there's an unexpected outcome here due to others. And that might be this third mitigating variable that I'm picking up on. And then that causes confusion. Yeah. And maybe conflict, or somebody's not sure if they've been put in a competition, or yeah, there's a lot of confusion here. And if it's an emotional confusion and it feels like there's just a lot of grief, and and behind it all is the Ace of Cups. So for a lot of you, I feel like this is like some type of soulmate connection. So let me just see advice. Oh my gosh, the High Priestess and the Four of Swords. Well, and then the Temperance card. There's a lot here about like healing. The High Priestess, so some kind of secret. This is the secret, right? Okay, so something here like before a reconciliation, something about like balancing out before reconciliation. Why? So that the past doesn't become present. And so you can end this karmic cycle. Because otherwise you're going to bump into the same blockage and the same obstacle. So this is the karma between the two of you. This is the karma. This is the blockage. This is the karmic cycle that needs to be attended to. And again, it has to do with the secret. Yeah, somebody here doesn't know, and they're like covered in armor. And yeah, so it's about balancing something out. And maybe there's something that you need to get comfortable with. And that could be comfortable with whatever this secret is. Like you have to love yourself through that and part of loving yourself is like, well, regardless of what you say and regardless of what your answer is, I love myself. But also if it's this like, you know, like me, like, well, I'm embarrassed sometimes to share my emotions. Well, I would have, if this was me, I would have to do that work on myself before I could engage in whatever this conversation is, you know, and be able to say like, well, even if somebody is horrible or like tries to weaponize that information against me or makes fun of me or whatever, betrays my trust, betrays my confidence, I'm going to be fine because I know who I am and I know that I'm always going to land on my feet and I'll just be fine. You see what I'm saying? But I feel like there's some type of inner work, some type of balance. And also like putting down what's not yours, you know, because there could be a lot of like, I think part of this embarrassment, maybe for both of you, is that you could be taking responsibility for something that somebody did to you and you think it means something about you instead of you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. You were around someone who was either maybe delusional about you. They were in some type of fantasy and they did something that really hurt you and you were like, what the, you know? But you took that on. Like, well, there must have been a reason that they did that to me because they saw me in a certain way or, you know. But yeah, so I think some of you are taking too much on here. But anyways, I'm going to leave that there. If that resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.